never forget the color of her car. It was a dingy gold. I remember seeing it out of the corner of my eye when it was just inches from me. It all happened so fast. I'm walking across the street with my kids and friends in Dallas, Texas. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes a car. I first hit the hood of her car, then her windshield, and then I fell to the ground, screaming in excruciating pain. It was a shock. When we crossed the street, there was nothing there. The police report stated the girl was going 40 miles an hour when she hit me. She told the police that she didn't see me because she was looking down at her phone. We call this a crash and not an accident because it was preventable. If she hadn't been looking at her phone, she would have seen the 6 of us crossing the street. Her choice to drive distracted has changed my life forever. I'm the lucky one, a survivor of a distracted driving crash. 9 out of 10 people die when getting hit by a car going 40 miles an hour. I'm fortunate and lucky she was driving a small car, a Honda Civic. If she'd been driving a truck or an SUV, I would probably be one of those 9 people not here today. I'm sharing my story for the many people who have lost their lives in distracted driving crashes. My injuries were severe. Her car shattered my tibia in 8 places, my pelvis in 4. I had compression fractures in my back, a lot of bruising, and road rash. This is me, day 3. Just imagine what I looked like day 1. My leg was so swollen that I was in traction for 3 days. Then doctors performed an 8-hour surgery on my leg, putting in a plate with 8 screws in my leg and 3 screws to hold my pelvis together. I was in ICU for 5 days, then the hospital for a week, and then a rehab center in Dallas, Texas, before I could come home to my family. The crash took a toll on my strength, stamina, and also my family life. My husband built a ramp the entire length of our garage so I could get in and out of the house with the walker and crutches. I was non-weight bearing for 12 weeks. I used a walker the first 8 weeks and then graduated to crutches. It also was hard on our family. The hospital bill was over $1 million. I actually slept in a hospital bed the first 6 weeks to be more comfortable. I went to physical therapy 3 times a week for the entire year to get back the strength and mobility in my leg. 4 years later, I still have nerve damage in my leg. It's probably never going away. My foot's always tingling. My leg feels a little disjointed. During my recovery, I started researching distracted driving, and I was shocked at how many people are affected by distracted driving crashes. Every day, 9 people die in a distracted driving crash, and thousands are injured. These are just a few of the faces that have lost their lives to distracted driving. Let's talk about what distracted driving is. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration defines distracted driving as any activity that takes your eyes off the road and the primary task of driving. There are 3 types of distractions when you're driving: visual, manual, and cognitive. Visual is taking your eyes off the road. Manual, taking your hands off the wheel, such as eating, drinking. Cognitive is taking your mind off the road. When you're texting and driving, you're doing all three of these things, plus you're trying to drive. We call this multitasking. I used to think that multitasking was a good thing. Try to get as many things done as possible in a short amount of time. But what I've found is that multitasking's a myth. Your brain only performs one task at a time. And while it performs tasks so quickly, it gives you the impression that you're doing two things. You're not doing either thing effectively. So yes, you can drive and talk on the phone, but neither task is done at 100% effective or focused. I've heard a lot of stories through the years about distracted driving. I'm going to share one with you today. I read an article written by a mom who had just lost her daughter to a distracted driving crash days before. Cameron was driving and texting and didn't notice that traffic had come to a stop in front of her. She ran into the back of an 18-wheeler, and her car went underneath. This is a picture of her car. The story came full circle for me 4 months later when I met her mother, Michelle, at a safety advocate training we both attended. Michelle told us Cameron was an amazing daughter, a wonderful student, a leader in her community, and she was so excited about graduating high school. She was 26 days from turning 18, 3 months from graduating high school. And this is her graduation picture, which she had taken just weeks before her crash. This is the last picture her mom will ever have of her. And the worst thing is, she said Cameron hardly ever used her phone in the car. It wasn't her normal thing to do. So she has no idea why that day she decided to use her phone. The National Safety Council states that car crashes are the leading cause of death amongst teenagers, even more than guns, bullying, or suicide. The thing is, car crashes are preventable. Teenagers face a much higher risk of car crashes than any other age group. The reason? An always present cell phone, combined with inexperience and a youthful feeling of invincibility. My first distracted driving presentation, the other speaker asked the audience, the kids in the class, who here uses their phone in the car? And about half the hands went up. And then he asked, whose parents use their phone in the car? Guess what? Every hand went up. Parents, we need to model good driving behavior for our kids. They look to us for an example, and it starts really young. It would be great to have the next generation of kids not using their phone in the car. So let's set a good example. Take action against distraction. Put your phone away when you get in the car, and so you're not tempted to use it. Set up Do Not Disturb while driving. It's an iPhone app. It silences your phone and sends message when you get a text. Have passengers manage your phone. Share what you learned here today with your friends and family. It helps to spread the word. Think about it when you use your phone. Is it worth it? Is it really necessary? Can it wait? The time is now to make a change in your behavior. So, please, just drive.